Hi, and in today's Photoshop tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this thumbnail in Photoshop. So the first thing we need to decide is how big our canvas has to be. So I'm going to open a new file, go up to New, and in here we can select our exact sizes. Now currently the correct dimensions for a YouTube thumbnail are 1280 pixels by 720 pixels. Now I've done that size before and I feel that the text is a little bit blurry, a little bit pixelated and a little bit clunky. So what I've done is I've multiplied that by 3 and that for me has worked time and time again. So the dimensions that I use are a width of 3840 pixels with a height of 2160. I have a resolution of 144 and the rest is a default of a white background, RGB colour, 8-bit, square pixels, and just click create. And there we have our thumbnail size. So the first thing I'm going to do is to import our image. So there's two ways you can do this. You can go to File, Open. I'm going to go to my Downloads and select my image and click Open. Now our image has opened up in a different window. So if you hit Command or Control A, which will select the image, then go to your Move tool, then hover over your image, click on the image whilst holding down the Shift key, drag it across to your new document, keep everything held down, and then just click off and drop. And there your image will appear. Obviously it's too big at the moment, but if you click Command or Control T, that's the transform tool where you can reduce or increase the size of your image. The second way to import your image, let's just get rid of that, is to simply bring up the image in a separate window in your downloads and then simply drag and drop. And again, it's already got the transform handles on, so we can go ahead and make that image the size we want to. Now whilst I've got these transform tools highlighted, I'm going to right click on my image and I'm going to flip it horizontally. And that's just going to turn that image around so that I can get all my text on this side. And then just click OK. Now don't worry, if you get it wrong you can move all this around at the end. Just make this a little bit bigger. Now the next thing we're going to do is to put a border around the outside. Now the easiest method I found to do this is to go to View, go to New Guide Layout, and then I just selected in the columns section one column and rows one row and made sure that all the margins are at 0 and click OK. If we just go and zoom in, you'll be able to see that those guides now are at the edge of our image. And then I can go ahead and select my shape tool and then click the rectangle tool here. If it doesn't come up, there's a little triangle in the lower right hand corner of this icon. Click on the rectangle tool. Now the reason I've got these guides up is to ensure that my rectangle is perfectly aligned with the edge of my image. And as you can see, as I get to the bottom here, it will actually click into place. Once I've done that, then I now need to decide on colours. So here you can see I've got the stroke icon. Now if I click on that, I can go ahead and select any of these colours, or I can just use my eyedropper tool. If I click on this icon here, it will allow me to select anywhere in my image if I want to use some colour shading from this image. So let's just click on this selection there. We'll go for this colour and then just click OK. Now because my stroke isn't very wide, you can't really see it at the moment. So what I need to do is to go to this drop down menu here and just increase the size of it, or because I know that I want 40 pixels, just input 40 pixels and click OK. Now just to ensure that your stroke is at the edge of your image, you can see here that it's perfect. However, sometimes the stroke will appear a little thinner than you want, and that's because you need to ensure on this element here that your stroke is inside your outline. This stroke here is where the outline is where the stroke is at the center of the outline, and here you can see the stroke is on the outside of the outline. So you need to ensure that this top one is checked. Now if your dialog box doesn't appear on the side here, then make sure that your shape is highlighted. Go to this drop down here, and at the bottom the same box will appear. Okay, now I'm just going to click off that by clicking on the layer below, and then we need to think about inserting the text here. So I'm going to click on the top layer and insert a new layer by going down to the bottom and clicking on the new layer icon. Then I'm going to insert another rectangle, so go back to my rectangle tool, and then I'm simply going to click and drag. Don't worry too much about where it is, because we can go back and change all of it. Now for this particular one I don't want a stroke, so I'm going to go to stroke and click this icon here, which is no stroke, and then I'm going to go to fill, and then again I can select from any of these colours, or select this icon here for the colour wheel or the colour chart, or I can just use any colour already in this image. So let's try a lighter colour, maybe a lighter grey, just to see if that works. Okay, and then once I've done that, I'm going to go over to my text tool, which is here, or just press T on your keyboard, and then just click in this area. Don't worry about the size at the moment. Now I'm going to check the check icon here, because often you'll go back, like I first did when I started to use text in Photoshop, and keep fiddling around with how big it is or where the letters are and stretching it to try to fit. But a much easier way of doing it is to ensure that you're on this layer, the text layer, and then to hit Command or Control T. Then you can just use all of the boxes at the corner to simply stretch your text. Or if you want to put it left and right, click on the side boxes, hold down the Shift key, and then you can pull left or right as well, which is incredibly versatile and much more useful than just trying to make the words fit using the font size tool. Now if you want to go and change the font, then just highlight the text, make sure you are on the right layer and that your text tool is highlighted. Then go up to your fonts. I'm going to click Impact and then just select the tick at the top. Okay, Command or Control T again, and I think we'll make this a little bit bigger. So to ensure that the text is perfectly centered, highlight the text layer, then hold the Command or Control key down and highlight the rectangle layer, which is this grey background. Then select your Move tool or press V on your keyboard, and then go to this icon here, which is aligned to center, and this one, which is aligned to the middle. And that will ensure that this text is perfectly in the center of this rectangle. Now I can go ahead and group these two by ensuring they're both selected. Hit Command or Control G to group them. And now, when you're on your Move tool, you can move the entire thing round without nudging the text or the box. In addition, if you hold Command or Control T down for the Transform tool, you can now make it bigger and smaller, move it around, rotate it, do whatever you want to it. So it's really, really versatile. So I'm going to make mine about this big and click OK. Now, if you want to make your text a little bit more exciting, then go to your text layer and double click, and your blending options will appear. And this will allow you to add strokes, inner shadows, outer shadows, drop shadows, outer glows, all that sort of thing. Lots of people do add a stroke to their lettering or their font. Once you've added a stroke here, if you just click in the middle of this, it gives you further customization options. So if you don't want it quite that big, you can adjust the size. Have it maybe 2 pixels, 3 pixels, maybe 1 pixel. That hasn't really made much of a difference, but if you chose some bizarre colour, let's say like red, and increase the size, just click OK, and increase the size, then you can see that stroke appearing there. So I'm not going to go for that stroke. I don't think a drop shadow will work either, because it's such a dark background, but you can do if you want to. So let's just click off that. Now I want to copy this text, so rather than going back and sorting out all the sizing and the font, all I'm going to do is copy this layer. So I'm going to click on this and drag it to the plus icon at the bottom. I'm going to take this copy and go up above the group so that it's out of the group. Use my move tool by selecting V and dragging that second text down. Hit the T key and then select your text, and let's put our next lot of text in, and then just click the tick. Now I'm going to select the transform tool again. Make sure you're on the correct text layer. Command or Control T, and you can just rotate this if you want to. And then just click the check or the tick at the top. I'm going to double click on this and I'm going to put in a stroke. And I think that black's all right actually. I quite like that. And I'm going to put another piece of text underneath. So again, click this layer, drag it down to the bottom. And then I'm going to hit my move tool by clicking on V on the keyboard, moving that down, press the T key, highlight the text, and then put the next set of text in. Command or Control T, and then just reduce the size of that text. Now the next set of text I want to put in is much like this. So instead of copying these two elements, all I'm going to do is go to the group and then click and drag the whole group down to the plus icon. Then again, go to my move tool, which is V, and just move my second one down. Now I'm going to open up this group that we've just copied, and I'm going to select the text layer, click T, and then make sure I put my cursor very close to the end of the text, select it all, and then type beginners. And click OK at the top there. So we can either make the box bigger or the text smaller. So let's just make the text smaller for now. So click Command Control T, reduce the size, click OK at the top. Then we're going to go down to the rectangle, which is at the back of here. Click on the rectangle, you can see it's highlighted now. Command Control T. Now I'm going to make this a little bit wider, so I'm going to click this box here, but I'm going to hold my Shift key down at the same time and drag it out. And I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. So again, click on the top one and just hold the Shift key down and bring it down. And click OK at the top. Now if this blue line appears, just hit Command or Control and Enter. It will turn it into a selection, and then to deselect, Command or Control D. Now again, we want to ensure that this text is aligned in the center of our box. So highlight the two layers again, the text, hold Command down, and select the rectangle, and then hit the move tool, go up to the top here, align to center, align to middle, and that means this text is perfectly aligned. Again, once you click on the group, you can use your move tool to move it around your thumbnail. Now, to ensure that these two boxes are lined up here, you can click on both groups, again holding down the Command or Control key, use your move tool, and then you can select align to right, and it will ensure that those two boxes are perfectly lined up. You may not want to, but it's an option. And now for the second group, I think I'm just going to move this up a bit. So now it's all lined up, I'm just going to move my arrow key. I'm just going to use my arrow key, sorry, to move that up. There we go. Now, we can move the whole lot to the other side if you wanted to. If you didn't quite like the look of it, or you've got the text just where you want it, but you want to move the whole lot down, there's a quick and simple way to do this. So to ensure that you don't include the outer stroke here, do not select that layer. Select the groups, hold the Shift key down and select all the way to the top. So you've got all your text included, but not the rectangle that goes around the outside of your image. If that rectangle layer is in the middle here, just click and drag it down or drag it up by just clicking on the layer and moving it up or down. So it's just highlight those layers again and select them all. Now, if you use your move tool, make sure you're on the move tool or select V, you can move all of it round at once. If you want it aligned to the middle, as you can see, as I move it slightly up or down, these pink lines will tell me that I've moved it exactly to the center of the image horizontally. Perfect. Now, to get rid of these grid lines, go to View and go down to Clear Guides. And there you have your thumbnail. All you need to do now is to go to File, Export, Quick Export as a JPEG. You can then save it wherever you want to. Let's put Photoshop thumbnail and click Save. Now, sometimes, depending on the image that you've used or the amount of text and strokes you've put into your image, can increase the file size. Now, if that happens, go to File, go to Save As, and again, let's go to Desktop. Make sure you go down and save it as a JPEG. So go down, JPEG, again, Photoshop thumbnail, let's call this 1. And then when you click Save, this little dialog box will come up here. Now, I tend to go down to 9, and that's worked for me every single time. I've never had a problem uploading a thumbnail to YouTube using quality number 9. And then just click OK. And then if I go to my desktop, you can see here both of my thumbnails. If I right click and click Get Info, my first image, you can see that this image is 3.2 megabytes, and the second one that I saved is only 614 kilobytes. So as you can see, it's a much reduced size, but it doesn't reduce the quality for YouTube. I hope that's helped you today. If it has, please subscribe and have a great day.